And we're back with certified management consultant David Shavzin. David, in our last segment, we talked a little bit about when is the opportune time for a business owner to start thinking about exiting the business, and he said as soon as you get started. So it's like getting married and planning your divorce, man.
Well.
Just kidding.
No comment.
No, just kidding. So one of the things, let's talk a little bit about valuation and the value of businesses. And as I alluded to in our last segment, many business owners had a harsh awakening when during the market crash, I guess we're calling it the Great Recession, they realized their business wasn't valued the way they thought it was. And then a lot of times business owners don't have a realistic view of whether or not they are the business. Like, can their business survive without them? Like, they don't know whether or not their business is kind of a lifestyle business. They have no idea. They just go to work, right? Yeah. So how should an owner determine what the value, and I mean the value of their business is, not what they think it is, but what they can actually offload it for?
Well, let's see. Discussing value in a business could take a lot more time than we have here today.
Okay.
But to touch on the issue, the key is, for me, if you have time 5 years, 7 years, 10 years out, you have a lot more flexibility. And in those cases, I would say, don't worry so much about that absolute value today, but what we do is a quick valuation to get an idea, to get a range, and more as a benchmark for growth.
Okay. Now,
right?
do certain companies or do certain industries have multiples?
Another good question, and I hate that. Yeah, in general, there are averages of what businesses in certain industries will sell for. But the problem is, those are averages amongst a very wide range of companies, and companies are very different, even in the same industry. Okay. And the problem is when somebody hears a multiple too often, and I've heard this a lot from business owners, they get it stuck in their head.
Yes.
And then think, no matter what, my business is worth 3 times revenue or something like that. And then they don't focus on actually growing the business and value. So if there's time and there's years to go, what we say is, let's do a general valuation, quick, inexpensive, give you a sense from a benchmarking standpoint. Then let's work on driving value in the business, growing it to get it beyond where it is today. If they have an idea already in their mind about what the business is worth, usually it's way beyond reality, honestly.
Right.
But if they've got enough time to go before they want to exit, there's a lot of flexibility.
So you can kind of build them up to that number that they have in their head as to what, well, within reason and with enough time to get close.
Yeah.
What is the term? I've heard this a lot of transferable value. What is that?
Good question. I'll talk about it a little bit this way. If you have, and you kind of alluded to it a moment ago, if you've got your business that you're running and you've started it from scratch, you've built it, and it's working wonderfully, you've been at it for 10 years, your phenomenal relationship with vendors, with your customers, with your clients, but all of that is you, all of that's in your head.
Right.
You may be taking home a great salary every year and making a lot of money. But if I'm going to buy your business and you're going to leave, that value is gone. I've got to recreate those relationships, inevitably lose a few clients along the way, maybe hire in more expertise. And so the value for you in selling it, I'm going to spend a lot more money to buy it from you, is the point.
Okay.
So that's one element of transferable value. Today it's valuable because of you, but that doesn't transfer to me as the buyer.
So then that's where sometimes, we look at, like, I've had conversations with some people, and really they are the business because they are kind of the rainmaker. They go out, they have the relationships with everyone. People love them, people know them.
Right.
And if they are to walk away from their business, the new owner has to start recreate everything. Not even their management is at the same level, relationship levels with the clients or customers that the owner is.
Exactly.
And so then the transferable value in a situation like that, your value, if your business is $5 million and you're the business, that value could actually be significantly lower. Is that what?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's just one example of a number of issues along those lines.
Okay, so I know if you went into, we're looking at businesses. So I want to talk about what can a business owner do, I know if I'm looking at selling my house, there's a couple of things I could do, right? If I want to sell my house, there's curb appeal. I can do some upkeep, some landscaping, I can redo my kitchen, I can redo my bathroom, because there's certain things that you can do to your home where adds actual value to your home. Now, in a business, what should a company focus on to kind of maximize the value so that they can at some point sell it, and it's not getting a new truck, right? A new truck or van.
In some instances that could be part of it. There's so many what we call value drivers, and they're applicable to virtually every business.
Okay.
But one business might be doing one of those things better than the other, and so we look at it very much for that particular business. But some examples would be, well, we talked about the owner having all of the knowledge up in their head.
Right.
Right. So if that business owner can hire in and train, if she gets that person in front of clients and vendors, and the relationship now gets extended to where it's not all dependent on the owner.
Okay.
Right? If the business owner is doing all of the, let's say, all the financial reporting themselves,
okay,
pushing that down and delegating, switching over to the sort of the fun sales side of things, to the extent that you've got clients and ongoing clients where you can build in long-term contracts in terms of individual spot sales here and there. There's a value to having those long-term contracts for a potential buyer. Business processes. If I'm going to walk in to buy a business and I'm not familiar with it, but every function in the business is documented in terms of
almost like
procedures.
I think franchises do a great job at procedures, standardizing procedures, right?
Exactly. The premise of the franchise is that you go anywhere in the world and that Big Mac, it tastes like a Big Mac because it's done, whether you like Big Macs or not, that it tastes just like it does at any other McDonald's store, and the people are trained the same way, and you've got consistency in the product.
And so in your business, you have to basically almost act like you're going to become a franchise and make sure that you can plug and play. And if you had to pick up one person and put somebody else in that place, they could do the same job and know what to do. Yeah,
and that's exactly the idea. That the theory of that franchise is that you can, you still have to add something to it, but having that infrastructure is tremendous.
Yeah, flip those burgers. Yeah. So out of everything that you just described, which one of those things? I haven't even asked the question yet. Which one of those things would you say is the most important?
I'll answer that in two ways. The first answer is they're all extremely important, and the priority really will depend on what's going on in that particular business. The other way I'll answer it is one of the 10, 12 items I talk about in terms of those business drivers, value drivers, is to have a good business plan that you're actually following. That's universal, right? So again, it's not only just for the ongoing growth in the business and having the roadmap and having everybody in the company understanding what it is and reading off the same page. That's huge in and of itself.
So
but from a buyer standpoint, if I see that you have a really good solid plan and you know where you're going for the next 3 years, that gives me more confidence as a buyer as well.
But how often should a business owner, again, not saying that they're looking at selling, but you brought up something that I think a lot of business owners kind of forget about. How often should a business owner look, revise, revisit that business plan?
It should be, I always say, on their desk with coffee stains, because they should be referencing it constantly, daily, weekly. But certainly at least once a year to go back and review it, just like the personal financial plan that you're going to work with your clients on. Right? If there's a personal finance side to the business owner as the personal and the business, really those things should work together, complementary, and at least each year, because things change. To a lesser degree, each month, each quarter, be looking at the plan, the goals, the objectives. By the way, a business plan is not 500 pages. It can be 5 pages.
Thank you.
It can be
10 pages. Just get down what it is.
Get it down.
So what's the difference now between a business plan and a strategic plan?
For me, nothing. You need a plan, and there's nothing that shouldn't be in it.
Wow, thank you for that.
Marketing, finance, your human relations, sales, strategy, exit. I mean, to me, you have a business plan. Your business is an enterprise. It's extremely interrelated, all these functions, right? It's a system.
Right.
So people talk about a marketing plan, a business plan, a strategic plan, a financial plan.
Operations manual.
Yeah, now manual, that's different,
But
yeah.
you have to have all these different plans. And if you have a
Yeah.
strategic plan that is inclusive of growth, what you want to do
Yep.
in the next 3 to
Right.
5, even 10 years, what you want to do around marketing, both short-term and
Right.
long-term. But so the bottom line is,
Yep.
whatever plan you have, whether it's a strategic plan, or a business plan, it's something that should be on your desk, that you're working, that you're double checking, and that it should be a living and breathing document.
Yeah, yeah, because when I walk in to talk to a prospective client, business owner, I want to understand their human resources strategy, their marketing strategy, their financial strategy, right?
Okay.
So it's all strategic. That's just forget that word, set that aside. A plan for the business, period.
Okay.
Should encompass everything.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be back with more with David Shavzin on exit and succession planning right after this.